Hello, this is a short video on introductions and conclusions, particularly for ATAR level essays. So this is if you need a bit of a recap on introductions and conclusions, you just want to make sure you're doing it correctly. So to start with, introductions. Ideally, your introduction needs to be formed up of 4 sentences. The acronym GTSP is referred to in lower school, and we can still apply that for our ATAR introductions. Just remember that your introduction should be concise, not too long. It really shouldn't be more than the 4 sentences. So start with your global statement, and this is a general statement about the concept focus for the essay question. So you should not be referring to the text that you are going to be referencing in your essay at this point. You should just be drawing attention to the key concepts that the question is asking. So if the question is about context, you would discuss the nature of context and how it functions in a text, for example. The second sentence, the thesis statement, is the key argument that you wish to be making throughout your essay. So this is probably the most important sentence of the whole thing. And it needs to directly reflect what the question is asking. Make sure that you are being specific in regards to the text at this point. So, for example, if you are doing the novel Jasper Jones, you would make sure that your thesis statement is specific to Jasper Jones and highlighting the key concept or concepts that you wish to discuss in relation to that text. Your next sentence should be a summary, which is a brief review or overview of what the text is about. But this shouldn't just be any old plot summary. It should focus on an important detail relating to the text that is important in regards to what the question is asking. So again, if you have a question on context, you might give some contextual information around the novel. If the essay question is asking you about voice, you might clearly identify who the main character is that you're going to be focusing on in regards to voice. In your preview sentence, this is where you give a very brief overview of what you'll be covering in the essay. So you might find that you are not obviously previewing everything you're going to talk about, but you might briefly overview a few key points that you wish to draw attention to. Okay, so let's have a look at an example introduction. So this introduction is looking at the question, how have language and structural innovations been used to unsettle an audience in at least one text? So this is the question if you're in year 12, we have been looking at recently in the lessons. So just a quick recap, main points of this question are looking at the choices made by the writer, so in our situation Sylvie, why they're innovative, so new, interesting, different, and how are they then unsettling an audience when they read those structural or language techniques. So your global statements, this is our general statement, not making reference directly to the text. Often the text we view and read unsettle us and take us outside of what we generally feel comfortable with in order to challenge our ideas about the world around us. So you can see in this sentence, I'm talking about something, sorry, Mr. Powell's just printing a lot of stuff right now. So with the global statement, this is where we are making general reference to the concepts in the question. Then we come to our thesis statement. Jasper Jones, now that should be underlined because it's a substantial text. Written by Craig Silvey, does this through a range of language and structural innovations in order to communicate some of the darker elements of society. So here you can see that I have specifically referred back to the question. Then my summary, Jasper Jones, set in 1960s, focused heavily on prejudicial views held by many in relation to gender and race. So here again, I'm summarizing the text in relation to the key points that I'm going to be picking out and analysing in my essay. And then my preview, through a range of innovations including paragraph structure and clever use of figurative language, Sylvia effectively unsettles us in interesting ways. So here I'm just pinpointing a few of the innovations I'm going to be discussing in my essay. Okay, so on to conclusions. So you should be aiming to write 3 body paragraphs in between your introduction and your conclusion. So we often teach in lower school that a conclusion is basically flipping the introduction on its head, which in a way it is, but we would remove the summary. There's no need to do a summary in the conclusion. So you start with your, what I like to call post view, so the bookend of the preview, where you review your key points referred to in the body of your essay. Then you've got your thesis statement, where you're restating the thesis from the introduction, worded slightly differently. And then your global statement, which is where you want to leave the examiner or marker with a thoughtful, overarching statement that will make them reflect on the concepts dealt with. So let's have a look at this in action. So again, your conclusions should be even shorter than your introduction, a maximum of 3 sentences. You can actually get away with 2 sentences. It's quite easy to combine the post view and the thesis statement together if you wish. So here is my conclusion. So paragraph structure, metaphors, similes and imagery have all been used to demonstrate Sylvia's ability to use text in an innovative way. Then we've got our thesis statement. Through a range of innovations, both structural and linguistic, Sylvia has managed to unsettle the reader by making us consider the true nature of the society in which we live in. So that could be a bit more specific if you wanted to go into the elements of the dark nature that you've discussed in your essay, that would be okay. And as long as we have new textual creations, text will continue to challenge and unsettle us, particularly when written in different and interesting ways. So what you can hopefully see with my conclusion is I've tried to hit the question in all parts of the conclusion. Like I said before, introductions and conclusions are an important and essential element of an essay, but really they should be thought of as your bookends for the main part of your essay. So nothing detailed or developed should be going into your intro or conclusion. It should be a way of introducing the examiner or marker to your key ideas and concluding your essay. Okay, hopefully that will you find that helpful, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions.